Superhero fatigue is the idea that viewers are tired of a constant stream of superhero movies and shows, but it's also one of the main things we keep hearing Hollywood say time and time again as one of the main reasons their superhero titles are not doing too well. While there might be some truth to that, I believe that this patch proves that this is just not the case, because from the moment this game came out, the internet was filled with fan art, theories, reaction, and a level of engagement that Marvel and DC could only dream of. At least the cinematic universes. I am not saying that all Marvel and DC stuff is bad, but it just doesn't feel as special as it used to be. That's why new series that have come up like The Boys and Invincible have done so well, because they all brought something we never saw from the mainstream superhero media. On the gaming side though, things can be a little different, because we have titles like Gotham Knights, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, and Marvel Avengers which didn't do too well. Actually, two of them even shut down. But then we have the Spider-Man and Arkham games which up to this day, they have a massive positive reception. And if we go for something more recent, there is Marvel Rivals, which is a literal hero shooter, which is still going strong 1 year later, even though the hype has calmed down and some toxic players have invaded quickplay. However, all of these games have one thing in common, and that is that they all offered something different, something new, something that got us excited. The Spider-Man and Arkham titles gave us a far more immersive experience as the heroes than any other title before, with its story and gameplay mechanics. On the other hand, Marvel Rivals gave us the first hero shooter with actual superheroes. Now in 2025 we have Dispatch, which is a Telltale game made by Ad Hoc Studio, which is a studio formed by ex-talents involved in the famous The Walking Dead and The Wolf Among Us Telltale series. So making these kinds of games is pretty much their bread and butter. Now, Dispatch might not be the first superhero Telltale game, but it is certainly the most unique one. I say this because Dispatch is not just another decision-making simulator. It is an immersive, interactive story with superheroes that feel more like people instead of idolized modern gods. I do have to admit, I didn't know what to expect from Dispatch at first, mostly because I haven't played any good Telltale games in a long time. I also kind of believe the whole superhero fatigue narrative, since I pretty much lost all interest for superhero movies, but when I started seeing clips of the game all over my YouTube feed, it immediately hooked me. Firstly, because it has nothing to do with Marvel, DC, or any of the mainstream superheroes most of us are familiar with, which means that they are bringing something fresh with a new roster of characters. It does resemble series like Invincible, One Punch Man, and My Hero Academia, but only in the sense that they treat being a hero as a job. It also comes with a fun minigame, which serves as a nice break from all the decision making and rewards you with some fun interactions between the members of the C-Team, which, by the way, this is a team of reformed villains that you're in charge of sending to assist citizens who call for help. They also took a different approach to the art style, and I am really glad they did, because I don't think Dispatch would have had the same impact if it looked like traditional Telltale titles, because it has such a colorful and varied design that it makes each character easily stand out from the rest, even somebody as generic as our main dude. Not only that, but you can also get a pretty good idea about their personalities just by taking a glance at them, and their interactions feel more natural than in most games like this. And that just shows how good its writing is. However, it was the voice acting what sold this game to me, because it's what made the personality of each character shine. And this was only possible because Dispatch had a strong cast of voice actors, which was a mix of well-known actors and popular content creators. You have no idea how surprised I was when I found out I could play a game with Jacksepticeye and Most Critical in it, and that our protagonist is voiced by Aaron Paul. Needless to say, the entire cast cooked with their performances. All of these things gave me a good, strong first impression, and clearly I was not the only one who got hooked, since in just 1 month, Ad Hoc Studios sold 2 million copies of their game, and they also announced that they are close to beat their 3-year target in just 3 months. This is nothing more than a well-deserved win. However, if I had to pick one thing that I like the most, it just has to be the story. Because it's this what made me realize that the real problem with most mainstream hero titles is not the superhero fatigue Hollywood keeps mentioning. It's just awful writing that either ruins beloved characters or kills any interest for the new ones. And with Dispatch, I didn't feel exhausted after each chapter. Instead, I was excited to see what was next. And this was something I haven't felt since Avengers Endgame. That's why the whole superhero fatigue thing feels more like a convenient excuse as to why superhero movies and some games are not doing too well, while ignoring that the real problem is that most of them are just doing more of the same without really adding anything new. And the problem with that is that it just makes each release feel like a copy-paste from other titles, and people do get tired of that. Even more so when characters that they know and love are being misrepresented. Superhero fatigue is not the issue here. The real problem is that most studios are not making anything new or interesting with one of the biggest and most popular IPs in the world, or they create something that completely misses the mark. With this patch, we got something fresh that has more soul than many things that have come out of the MCU and DCEU in the last few years. The characters feel somewhat relatable, have appealing personalities, and very cool dynamics. Robert is a good example of this. He's a veteran hero who was forced to retire after a confrontation put him in a coma and destroyed his suit. Now he got an office job and is in charge of leading the C-team, and is pretty much a divorced dad dealing with a bunch of rowdy children, which is a fun dynamic when done right. But the best part about this is that the members of the team aren't these typical unidimensional characters that are incapable of growth or are just annoying the entire time. Instead, you get to see how they go from not caring about the team to putting the team first. This development felt natural, and their different interactions made us care about them in a way I don't always see in other Telltale titles. The devs haven't announced if they have any plans on releasing a second season, but honestly, I hope they do, because I'm excited to learn more about this world and the characters they have created. See you next time.